I'd like to bring up Nancy Mace. That's right, Nancy Mace, the disgrace. I want you to listen to this appearance she made on Fox News yesterday because she sounded like she was on drugs. And by the way, she might be. I don't know. So on one hand, in this interaction on Fox News, she accuses Biden of turning a, quote, blind eye to Ukraine, and then in the next sentence attacks Biden for giving too many assets to Ukraine, then pivots back to Biden for slow-rolling aid. I mean, it's mesmerizing. It's crazy. But then we know Nancy Mace is mentally challenged and she needs some help. Listen to this exchange she had on Fox News. She sounds like she's a little bit confused.
Russia invading Ukraine in the Donbass region happened under the Biden administration, and they turned a blind eye. They turned a blind eye to it. In fact, when the war first started and America gave many assets to Ukraine, there was a slow roll by Biden's State Department to provide assets and resources to Ukraine when the war first broke out. So we have true leadership in Donald Trump, and I thank him every day for his leadership both on the Ukraine conflict and his dealings with Russia, but Iran and Israel and peace in the Middle East potentially. I mean, he's just shown great leadership that when we are strong, when our country is strong, there is peace, can be peace everywhere.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Nancy Mace. It's great to see you again. Now, listen to this.
On one hand, he didn't do enough to help Ukraine. On the other hand, he gave Ukraine way too much aid. Which one is it, Nancy? You seem to struggle to define what a man or a woman is, and you seem so threatened with transgender women using women's bathrooms. Maybe you should get a mental health evaluation yourself. Is it Joe Biden aided Ukraine too much, or he didn't do enough? Which one is it? I'll tell you my criticisms of Donald Trump now. He's not doing enough to help Ukraine, and he's siding with Vladimir Putin. And Zelensky is in a situation now where Vladimir Putin is saying, we want this land from you that doesn't belong to us, or we're going to continue this war. What the hell is Zelensky supposed to do? And Donald Trump is siding with the evil, murderous dictator, who is not Zelensky, who is a guy by the name of Vladimir Putin, who Donald Trump rolled out the red carpet for, which was a disgrace to this country. Let's talk about Nancy Mace for a moment. When I appeared on the Piers Morgan show, Nancy Mace appeared right after me. I was questioning Riley Gaines. And what I said on the show were a few things. Riley Gaines claimed that a bunch of Democrat politicians were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. That's not true. You couldn't name me one. Ilhan Omar never celebrated the death. She's criticized Charlie Kirk just as I have. AOC never celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. She's criticized him just like I have. And Riley Gaines made the statement, which is a lie, which I pointed out on the Piers Morgan show, that she couldn't name one Democrat politician that has actually celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. It's a lie that the right is putting forth. And I called her out on that. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, but I did call her a liar. And then Nancy Mace comes on the show and says this.
Well, it's insane. And you can just see in the previous debate, you saw two grown men, Democrat men, screaming, yelling on your program at two women. Riley Gaines is one of the brightest, smartest, youngest minds fighting for what she believes in. And we want to encourage that, not discourage it. I don't want to discourage anyone out there to prevent them from speaking up by getting yelled at. I was yelled out yesterday in front of Don Lemon at the steps of the Capitol, and all we want to do, I'm a rape survivor. All I want as a rape victim is to ensure that men aren't in my bathroom or Riley's bathroom or in the shower next to us. That is dangerous.
So Nancy Mace also made the case that I'm part of the problem and part of the reason why we have political violence in this country. By the way, Nancy Mace in every single interview calls herself a rape survivor. I don't believe she was ever the victim of sexual assault. And I would say if she was, which I don't believe her because she calls herself the victim in every interview, then why do you support the guy who is an adjudicated rapist? Why do you support the guy who has 25 plus women who have accused him of sexual assault or rape, including his ex-wife? You see, Nancy Mace doesn't want to answer that question, does she? By the way, Nancy, the disgrace, I'm not even a Democrat. But if you want to talk about political violence and you want to talk about people that maybe add to the problem, maybe you should call this guy out, because this is what Donald Trump said, literally, at Charlie Kirk's funeral yesterday. Nancy Mace won't talk about this, though. Have a listen to what Donald Trump said. Again, this is not a Trump rally. This is at Charlie Kirk's funeral. Have a listen to this.
Truly was. He was a missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica.
I hate my opponents, and I don't want what is best for them. You think Nancy Mace would ever tweet something out if she's not talking about transgenders, which she does 24/7? What's more hateful, me calling out Riley Gaines for being a grifter, or Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's funeral basically saying he hates half the country? But you'll never hear Nancy Mace call that out. And then earlier today, before Donald Trump met with Starmer, Donald Trump was asked about so many people dying of starvation in Gaza. Now, obviously, this is a terrible situation. And I've talked to many people about this, and it's horrible, right? There are people in Gaza, there are children that are dying of starvation. It's awful. And I think you are complicit if you think that the Israeli government has nothing to do with it. I'm not saying it's all their fault, but certainly they've played a role in this. And Benjamin Netanyahu is lying to his own people. He's lying to the people in Gaza, and he's lying to the world. We've seen the videos. We've seen children that are dying of starvation. It's awful. Innocent people that have done absolutely nothing wrong. Donald Trump's response? I don't know. Now, of course, Starmer gives a well-educated and abundantly clear answer, but listen to how weak Donald Trump is. It's like he's afraid to criticize Benjamin Netanyahu when the world knows that there are people that are dying of starvation in Gaza. Thousands of people have died, including children.
Stand on immigration, and taking a strong stand on immigration is imperative. I don't know. I mean, based on television, I would say not particularly, because those children look very hungry. But we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food, and other nations are now stepping up. I know that this nation is right
It's
here.
a humanitarian crisis.
Right.
It's an absolute catastrophe. And nobody wants to see that. And I think people in Britain are revolted at seeing what they're seeing on their screens. So we've got to get to that ceasefire. And thank you, Mr. President, for leading on that. And also to just get more and more aid in. And again, America's done a lot on this. A lot of countries have done a lot. We're now working with Jordan on getting direct aid drops in, but this is a desperate situation.
Yeah, there you go. So Donald Trump is asked about this. Netanyahu says there's no starvation. Donald Trump's response, quote, I don't know. It's a lot of leadership, Mr. President. Thank you very much. There are children that are starving in Gaza. Thousands have lost their lives. And that's your response? Boy, sickening. You know, one more clip I do want to play for you. And I asked Ron Filipowski about this a little bit earlier, and that's Nancy Mace. Now, to me, this gives a specific feeling, definition of where the MAGA Republican Party is at right now, where if you're a brown person in this country, whether you're legal or not, they enjoy watching you suffer, just like they want to own the libs. Just like Fox News, all they do is show black people committing crimes 24/7. But when it comes to January 6th, they're patriots and hostages, and let's give them a pardon. But if you're a brown person in this country coming out of a courtroom trying to do it the right way, you're a criminal, you're a thug, you're going to rape our children and kidnap our families. Nancy Mace is a perfect example of where the MAGA Republican Party is at right now and why I say it's Make America White Again. Listen to Nancy Mace with a smile on her face, gleeful, talking about ICE agents dragging people away from their kids outside of courtrooms. It's sickening. Listen to this.
New sheriff in town, I have to tell you, one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube these days are the court hearings where illegals are in court and ICE shows up to drag them out of court and deport them. I can think of nothing more American today than keeping our streets safer by getting those violent criminals out of the United States of America, and we all have Donald J. Trump to thank for it.
Take a look at.
Let me tell you something. And we'll open up the phone lines, by the way, now at 702-221-7283. And the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. 888-221-7283 is the number to call. Let me tell you something, okay? Barack Obama, Joe Biden, gosh, even George W. Bush, they weren't gleeful at separating themselves from their families. They weren't jumping up for joy. They didn't have Dr. Phil with a microphone there happy that people were getting ripped away from their families. They weren't having ICE agents show up outside of courtrooms and people not identifying themselves across the country wearing scarves over their face, torturing people. But that's what the Trump administration is doing. And MAGA Republicans are gleeful over this. They're happy. They enjoy it. People like Nancy Mace, as Ron Filipowski said, this is MAGA porn, is what it is. When you see some who happen to be undocumented immigrants, and so many of them that are nonviolent criminals, being ripped away from their kids, ripped away from their families, and they have smiles on their faces, and they enjoy it.